Hey, all craft people, Tomboy, and today in the Modcast I have stars Baku, Fuzzy, and SD, and also with Baku is his father. Hello. And today's topic is kind of a touchy topic for some people, but as some of you guys know, it's the 15th anniversary of the 9/11. I know some of you were probably very young when it happened. I was actually in middle school when this happened, so I'd like to ask, like, where you guys were and how you feel about the, about the whole situation. But right now we're going to let our guest, actually, he is a veteran, right? Army.
Air Force.
Oh, Air Force. Oh,
Go ahead and
nice.
speak up.
And you had a story you wanted to tell us?
You guys were talking about where you were, and I was just discussing it with my wife and my son here. I was actually supposed to fly a mission that day, just a regular training mission. My job was in-flight refueling. I was a boom operator in a KC-135R aircraft. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's an airplane that flies up in the air, and a pipe basically that we fly out the back of the aircraft plugs into other airplanes to give them gas.
Yeah.
And that extends the range of the fighter aircraft and the time that they could be in the air. So we were going to do a regular training mission. I had a lot of really important people from the base on board. I had one of our top flight instructors. I had my own commander, and I had the deputy wing commander. Wing is one of the larger units on the base that encompasses most of the other smaller units.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a full house there. Everything was going really smooth. I just finished my pre-flight, which is all those actions that we have to do to get the airplane ready to go fly. And all I was doing, the last thing I was doing is one of our training events. We have to basically talk on the radio to the command post and use some of our, secret documents that I really can't tell you much about to talk to them and work on some stuff. So do some training.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was doing that, the pilots were getting the flight plan all fixed up with the ground control.
Mm-hmm.
So I was listening to all three radios while they were just listening to the one, because it's very important that they get these details right for the flight plan, because you don't want to go off course or anything. So they're listening to one radio, and all of a sudden I start noticing strange things going on in the radios that I didn't expect. They were canceling takeoff clearances for guys that were actually just getting ready to start their takeoff roll, and they were telling people to taxi back to the parking spots, and we were still in our parking spot. We were waiting to go, and we were getting our clearance and everything. And then we got please stand by from the command post from the other radios. And then and hearing this, I said, are you guys listening to this? Are you hearing this? Because I didn't know if maybe they had an extra radio up. Sometimes guys will monitor two just to keep in touch with what's going on. And they said, no, what do you got? And I said, basically, the guys are all coming back. Everybody's canceling. They're all coming back to the parking spots. And they started paying attention, and we started querying command post. Command post came across and said that they wanted us to come in. And basically, everybody park your airplanes, shut them down, do your post flights, make sure everything's safe, and then we want everyone to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just unprecedented. They're basically just shutting all the flights off for the day.
Damn.
And everybody's got to come back in. Well, what we do in this case is we have these, what we call authentication tables, where we basically make them read back a code to us to tell us that they're really them, that this isn't BS. So that's what we did, is we queried, and they basically said, we don't have time for that. Warrior 1, who is the wing king, we call him, the boss of the wing, the colonel, just said, come in now. And I looked at the deputy commander, who was sitting right behind me, and he said, shut it all down and go in. Warrior 1 says so, we go do it.
Were you wondering what was going on?
What's that?
Were you ever curious, what's really going on? Were you?
Oh yeah. Well, we were, but you just don't question at that point. You just do.
Yeah.
Because questioning actually hangs things up, and it'll take longer for you to figure out what's really going on.
Yeah, true.
So what happened was I got on the bus. I basically loaded all the gear off of the airplane, offloaded all the gear, put it on the bus, and the bus driver says to me, since I was the first one on board, "Do you guys know what's going on?" And we have no idea. We just know we're not flying. And he basically said somebody crashed 2 airplanes, maybe 3, into the World Trade Centers. He didn't know for sure. He's like, at least 2. And he said they think there might be like a bomb or another airplane at the Pentagon. And that's all we knew so far. So basically we knew whatever the bus driver knew, whatever he was told. And he didn't know that much. So we all went in, and all of a sudden all these guys are huddling in the scheduling office around our one little, color television and watching the news, and we start seeing all this footage, and it's just unreal. I mean, everybody's, my first thoughts were, here's the prelude to World War III. Who's attacking us? What's going on? Is it the Russians? What are we doing?
Did you ever think it was an accident, that the planes accidentally fell in, or do you automatically assume?
Not by this time. They were pretty sure that it was deliberate.
Oh yeah, the first one, the first plane they thought was an accident. The second was, well, okay, someone's attacking.
Yeah, we're like, something's really rotten in Denmark at that point. So they were like, yeah, it's bad. We think we don't know what it is. We don't know if it's a deliberate act by a government. We don't know if it's terrorists. We don't know what it is. But we do know that all these planes have crashed. We've got some bombs going off. We've got some possible terrorist actions going on here. And then just basically everyone's glued to the television initially. So we're waiting about 15, 30 minutes. And they basically tell us all to go home, pack our bags for anywhere, because we didn't know where we might be going. Yeah. Pack your bags so that you got everything, and try to get some sleep. That's all they said, because they don't know when they're going to have to call you.
Yeah.
So I did that, and of course I didn't get any sleep because of what's going on. I'm sitting there, I'm watching CNN. Just for hours, I'm sitting there glued to CNN, just waiting for a call, and my wife keeps telling me, you got to go to bed. And then one of the things that's really disturbing is that Bryce is 3 at the time, and he's playing with his airplanes and his blocks like he always does. And he's building towers with his airplanes, or with his blocks, and he's running airplanes into them.
Oh, dear Lord.
And I had to tell my little 3-year-old to stop doing that, because it's disturbing Daddy. So
he had no idea.
Don't play that way. Play a different way.
I was
don't
too
destroy
young
buildings.
to know at the time, and I was just seeing the news.
He was just copying what he saw.
No, he didn't know.
Put the television off. After this, my wife, of course, steps over me. She turns the television off. Says, "You need to go upstairs and try to get some sleep." That's it. Let Bryce play.
Did you ever get called or anything?
Things after that.
Did you ever get called? Did you have to do something
the
next day?
Actually did. Hours later, we got called, and we got sent, basically because they wanted to sort of position us. We got sent first to the aircraft to get the aircraft ready. So we got all our pre-flight things done on a new airplane. And because they had told us to decock, which means to turn all the switches off on the other airplanes that we had. So we had to prepare new airplanes again. So we prepared the other airplanes and basically set them in a position so that when we came back out, all we would have to do is start up and go. Mm-hmm. So we did that. We came back. We tried to get some sleep. Just about the time I'm getting to sleep, I think it was somewhere between 8 and 9 at night. And this is after having been up since well before 6 in the morning. And we get the call, and so we're saying, okay, well, we're going to go out to our aircraft, and told them what spot, and they said, no, you're not going to your aircraft. Your aircraft's not there anymore, because we've already sent your aircraft with another crew because it was ready, So we had to go back and prepare another airplane to go, which we did quite expeditiously, because by this time we're all experienced. Yeah. My whole crew was very experienced, so it was very easy for us to set it back up again and just go. So we take off into the air, and we report in to air traffic control, and they say, thanks for the advisory, meaning they are no longer in charge. Contact AWACS, which is the airplane with the big, frisbee on top that rotates around.
Yeah. Big
radar airplane. Because they're now in control of United States airspace. The military is now in control of airspace.
Damn.
At this time. All planes are down. The only planes the one thing that we keep having to check out and verify, and that's one of the reasons we're going up there, is because all the fighter planes are flying around the cities making sure that no more terrorist attacks happen.
Yeah.
No more attacks, period, happen. So all aircraft are grounded in the United States except for military and life flight, the flying ambulance.
Yeah.
And because life flight's not scheduled, our airplanes had to go and fly by and verify life flight before they decide to shoot it down or not. So basically they fly and they say, okay, that's life flight, and they peel away. A little disconcerting for the life flight guys, but hey, we got to do what we got to do.
They're all like, don't mess up, don't mess up.
They would call out. They would call themselves out, and they would say, because AWACS, of course, would call unknown rider or whatever on them, and then that means, basically, you got somebody coming, and you don't know who it is really, and you just basically go and they check it out, and they come back and they ask from us all night long. Is going out checking things.
How long did you guys do that for after 9/11? You guys only did that. How long were you guys doing that after 9/11? You were doing that like for a week or something, or until it died down, or? That
airborne alert, I can't even remember what was going on with that. It was for months though. It was months because, I mean, basically before I got to go anywhere, because they sent a whole lot of guys off right away, but they had to have people here to once they figured out who did this. Once Al-Qaeda claimed responsibility and all that, they had an idea where we needed to go, so they started sending people there.
Yeah.
But before they even did that, one of the things they did is they sent an F-16 with 2 seats, and they sent it to get the FEMA bigwig and fly him out to Ground Zero out there in New York. So the Air Force was integrally involved with all of it from the get-go. It was like, we need you to take these people here, give gas to these guys and send them over there. And that's what we were doing. Just go, go, go. And then for part of that time, too, they had to have people on alert. Then they had to have people waiting. If these people launch, these guys have to move forward and take their place. And that's just, it's that kind of craziness. But the other thing, I'm sure you guys want to hear about what Bryce and his mom were doing. Initially, when we first got the call, when we first got called in, what they do is they put the base in a condition where nobody's allowed to go anywhere, just to keep them safe, because they don't know what's wrong yet. Mm-hmm. So they tell everybody not to go anywhere. Well, my wife, being from Thailand, being English being her second language, said, no, I need to go home because my husband's going to call. And I want to make sure he's safe. I need to go home. I need to take my kid, and I need to go home. So she basically kept harassing them until they let her go, which she wasn't supposed to do, because nobody's supposed to be moving on the base. Yeah. But she got home. I called her. I told her not to worry and all this stuff. And then I already told you the story about Bryce and the blocks and planes. So. But we took off, we did the mission, we got down, and we didn't even know, for our paperwork purposes, we didn't even know what to put down. Because no one had given anything a name. We didn't have any mission symbols, and a lot of the information, they were just put, to be determined, TBD, in this block, and that block, and this block, TBD. Okay, but there you go, here it is. This is the information I have, which is next to nothing. Because we weren't talking to the planes that much. Yeah. Unless we had to. So when they connected up, we talked to them through the equipment, so nobody else could hear.
Yeah.
And just leave them alone. They'd fly in, they'd fly out. Wasn't a whole lot of talking going on. Like I said, AWACS is in charge. They're the only ones really talking, and they're telling everybody else what to do. So we just listen up, and it's the strangest thing, really. I mean, even that late at night. In America, there's always air traffic. Mm-hmm. So you hear voices on the radio back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. It was virtually silent. Damn. And there's no lights in the sky either, which is also unusual. Because most of the time, the night sky of the United States is lit up with airplanes.
Mm-hmm. Like a Catholic church.
And that's pretty much my experience is terrifying, but you have a job to do, and you got to go do it. And whatever they send you to do, you got to make it happen. Because your job is to protect America. Whatever America needs you to do, you go do it.
Well, we want to thank you for serving during that time, helping
Yeah,
and
thank
everything.
you.
Indeed.
When did you
It
retire?
was my honor to serve.
When did you retire?
2011.
2011. Okay.
Ah, okay.
Wow.
It doesn't seem very long ago to me, but I'm sure to everybody else it seems like a while ago.
Probably, yeah.
Well, Stars, where were you when 9/11 happened?
I was in my home state of West Virginia, and I was only 7 years old, and I was actually in elementary school at the time. I can't remember specifically what grade, but all I remember was the TVs had come on in every classroom, and my teacher had started to cry. And being that age, I didn't know why she was crying. I didn't understand perfectly well what was going on. But school was let out early, and we as kids were sent home. Um, I remember we were still living with my grandmother at the time, and I was walking home, and my grandmother and my dad and my mom and everybody were kind of like, sitting down on the couch crying. And later on, my mom and my dad ended up sitting me down and explaining to me what had happened. So it's like, it had shocked me that something like that had happened. And especially being at a young age, I guess it took me still a while to kind of understand why something like that would happen.
Yeah. What, Fuzzy? What about you?
Let's see, if I remember right, I was in 3rd grade, and
you guys
much
are
like
babies.
Stars, I was... Huh?
All you guys were babies when it happened. Go on.
Yeah.
Not the
I just
truth.
remember the teacher because my particular teacher, she never turned the TV on in the morning, ever. Unless we were like watching a movie or something that day.
Mhm.
But I remember it so specifically because of that. And because it was at such a young age, much like Stars, I had no idea what was going on. I didn't even know what the trade centers were at the time.
Mm.
And so, but I remember seeing that and thinking, why are you showing us this? This is so sad.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
I got explained later what it was. My teacher actually explained to the entire class what had happened because it was after the events had taken place. It was basically a replay of what had happened.
Yeah.
And so we were told about what had happened with the planes and basically what the buildings were. And I just could not get it out of my head after that because obviously there's no way anyway, but I was in school that day and I don't even remember if we had a full day or not because whole other side of the country, but we have a few things over here
Yeah.
too though that I think we did actually get out early that day because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So but that's just what I remember specifically is my teacher who never turns the TV on unless she has to turn the TV on.
You know something important when the teacher does that.
So
Yeah.
What about you, Esty?
yeah, especially when the teacher never does it before.
What
Oh,
about
yeah.
you? What about you, Esty?
I was just turned 11 6 days before. And sitting there in elementary school, 5th grade. And I remember that day being odd because all the teachers either was like a test or just some reading assignment in all the classes. And I remember quite vividly, I'd look up and all the teachers were just glued to the screen of the televisions. It's like, okay, something weird's going on. What the hell's going on? And then it was the last hour of the class. They sat all the classes down, and like all the teachers sat their class down and explained to them what the hell happened. And it was interesting. I remember vividly just watching TV going, "Oh my God, this actually happened." And back then, it all didn't know. It didn't hit me as much. I think now, especially with my employer, it hits me harder now than it did back then. So,
Yeah.
I mean, because I see the guys that,
I think it hits us all harder now.
Yeah. Well, like where I work, it's literally I'm designing fire trucks. I'm designing for these guys that have literally risked their lives every day.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm seeing them come through full life and stuff, and then it's like, especially when this time comes around, you just realize that, something like that could happen. These guys that you were joking with the week before could go back home, and that could happen. They could be gone.
Yeah.
It's just, and at Pierce, we actually have it in one of our display cabinets right by the main desk. There's a piece of mangled steel from the World Trade Center.
Damn.
And then right over our company store, there's a big painting of a Fire Department of New York firefighter hugging a child. It has on rough paint 9/11. So, I mean, and that fact that working with the firefighters and these people that, literally that day lost so many in their lives in this big, tight-knit family.
Firefighters, police officers, civilians lost their lives that day.
A lot of people.
Well, I guess I was the oldest. I was 14, going on 15 that year. And I remember lying in bed. I was actually at home. I was not at school yet, because I'm in California, so there's a 3-hour difference. But I remember waking up. It was like 8 o'clock, and I'm like, why didn't Mom wake us up for school? Because she usually wakes us up for school. And I hop out of bed, and I go into the living room, and there's my mom and dad, my neighbors, too, come by, and they're all looking at the screen, and here I see smoke coming off the 2 towers. I'm like, what the hell happened? I thought it was some kind of accident. I thought one plane hit both at the time. I didn't know. But it turns out there were 2 of them, and after my mom explained it, I'm just going, damn, All of us stayed home because my mom was afraid because all planes scheduling were going towards Los Angeles. That's why she didn't want us to leave, because both planes, and all 3 were heading towards Los Angeles, I believe. I think that was their last destination. So she didn't want us to leave, so she's all like, you're staying home today. I'm like, okay. And that's all we did. We just glued ourselves to the TV and watched it all day, And I was just like, and then when I saw him fall, I'm like, damn. That was like, your heart stopped when you saw it fall for the first, the first one. And then shortly after, the second one falls. And the first thing I'm thinking I'm like, I hope there's no one in that building. Then finding out there are people in the building. I'm like, it was horrible. I have family members who are part of firefighters and everything. I have friends who are part of the Army. I'm like, damn, that's horrible. It gives me chills thinking about it.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, talking about the twisted metal, there is actually a part of one of the towers up in downtown Beckley, West Virginia, sitting there as a memorial for everybody who died during 9/11.
Same thing here in Fairborn. There's
and in Beaver Creek too.
Yeah, there's a memorial of pretty much one big part of one of the towers.
Yeah.
I
know certain places got
a
some
small hole cut out at the top, for the other beams to connect.
And
it's
then
just
the
standing
Pentagon
there.
one, Pentagon, and the one that, what was the plane that fell into the other state? It was Pennsylvania?
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
Pennsylvania Field.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania Field. Pennsylvania.
So there were 4 planes total, if I remember correctly, that attacked.
There were more, but they grounded them fast enough to keep them going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of memorials, I know tomorrow work is actually hosting up in Green Bay a stair climb where you climb the 110 stories that World Trade Centers were, and then Monday we're actually having it where we're going to be wearing a badge of fallen fire from that, and actually, I'm not sure whether it's walking or leaving, ringing a bell, memorial.
Yeah. Well, I think it kind of bothers my mom mostly, because not only 9/11, but it's also her birthday.
Oh,
so
yeah.
She, every year, the news start talking about it, and she used to complain that she was getting old, and now she has another reason why she doesn't like it. So I'm like, ugh. But we try to make her feel happy,
I have a friend who, yeah, I've got a friend who his birthday is September 11th as well, and she doesn't like it either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I may speak here, within these past few years, after graduating high school, I look back on it now, and it's still very sombering. But within the past couple of years, I've been to both Washington, D.C. and to New York City. And on the way back from the Washington, D.C. trip, we actually took a stop off at the very site in Pennsylvania where that aircraft went down.
Mm.
And then in New York City, on the very first day, one of the things we did was go to the site where the World Trade Centers were and see the fountains and see the new tower that now rises proudly above the New York skyline. And it's just, it's just a sombering thought to be standing around that pool of water and walking through the streets and thinking there used to be 7 large structures, and 2 of the largest ones in this hemisphere standing right there. And that day, the entire streets that we were walking down would have been filled with smoke and people yelling, so on and so forth. It's just, it was a very humbling experience, to say the least.
Yeah.
I want to visit New York someday to check out.
Same here.
Ground Zero as well. Pay my respects.
I was actually out there 8th grade class trip, so 3 years after all this happened. Well, 3.5. And they were still had scaffolding on the building until they were cleaning up, and they were just starting to finish up cleaning up the hole.
It took a long time to clean.
I mean, so you saw the rubble still. I mean, they were starting new construction at that point too. But I mean, you saw the hole, you saw the mud, the dust, the scaffolding on the buildings. Walked right past where the fire department used to be and stuff, and it just hits hard then.
It does. I remember in my history class they played the 9/11 movie, and a lot of us started crying because, like, wow.
Especially if all of us were there or witnessed.
I have not seen that, but
yeah.
God bless the firefighters, the police officers, and the civilians. You know, that gave their lives that day. So.
Yeah. And God bless the families who have.
In my eyes, they are superheroes.
Yeah.
Not all
they're real life
wear
superheroes.
Capes. But anyway,
and they're superheroes too.
Anyway, we're gonna end it here. So.
Okay.
Thank you all for joining us, Stars, Baku's dad.
My father has one thing to say.
Oh, what's up?
I just wanted to say I'm glad to hear you guys trying to keep the memory alive and go ahead and spread the word. You know, I mean, because a lot of folks, their memories are too short. I mean, if you're not a Kardashian or something like that, you don't hit the news anymore. And it's just, this is something we can't forget.
Yeah.
We can't forget this. We can't relax our vigilance. We got to be aware.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we need to persecute anyone.
Yeah.
You know, nobody should be throwing rocks at Muslims, but people should be aware that, you know, there are people out there who want to harm us, who don't value life the way that we do. They don't have the same value system that we have. We try to value every life. We try to, make sure that every American has an opportunity to experience the American dream. You know, I mean, you have the opportunity. It's not handed to you, nor should it be, but you have the opportunity to try to go out there and make it happen.
Yeah.
And in order to keep that alive, we can't relax, and we can't relax the vigilance. You got to be aware, and you can't forget what's already happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Stars,
you.
Baku's dad, Fuzzy, and SD, thank you all for being here. And until next time, you all stay crafty.
Stay crafty, and
Stay crafty, everybody.
Stay crafty, guys.